Hey, everybody. Today's conversation is for anyone who grew up believing they were the problem, when really their brain just never got the right translation. I can relate to this. My guest is Samantha Foote. She's the founder of Every Brain is Different, and she wasn't diagnosed with ADHD until she was in her mid 30s. We're going to talk about what it's like to live undiagnosed, the moment everything started to make sense, and why understanding your own brain can quietly change the future for your kids. Man, that is so resonant with my story as well. This is one of those conversations that may help a lot of people finally exhale. So, Sam, how's it going?
Good. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show.
I'm really looking forward to delving more into what your experience was, because there's a lot of commonalities in what it was like leading up to finally getting diagnosed. But there are those differences too. What was it like for you all those years?
Yeah, I honestly thought something was wrong with me. Like, I was too dramatic. I was too emotional. I was too hyper. I talked too much. I interrupted too much. Like, all those things I thought were character flaws. And I'm like, why
Hmm.
am I like this? Because I didn't want to have like emotions that were so up and down and, all of that kind of stuff. And I'm like, am I always like the periphery friend? Like I had a lot of different friend groups, but I never was like in a friend group. But I was always invited to all the different friend groups? And so that's how it was growing up. I had really bad, what's it called? Oh my gosh. It's when you feel like someone's rejecting you, but they're not actually rejection sensitivity dysphoria.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, that was a
Everything is a
yeah.
rejection.
Yeah. So that was alive and well in my life all growing up. And so when I finally got my diagnosis, I'm like, oh, it all makes sense. Like, yes, it's a part of me and it's who I am, but my brain is different. There's a reason why my brain is like this, and it's not just I need to have more willpower to get things done, or I need to have more willpower just to control my emotions. And so that was really affirming to me when I found out there's a reason why my brain was like this, and it wasn't just my own fault.
What finally led you to getting diagnosed?
I tried to get a diagnosis for 10 years before I finally got diagnosed, but I did have a psychiatrist and she diagnosed me with bipolar disorder, but she said bipolar disorder doesn't fit you, but it fits close enough and it checks the box for insurance, so that's what we're going to use.
But it was
And
emotional dysregulation.
yeah, it was just
Mhm.
emotional dysregulation. And I told her, I said, I don't like go into long periods or longer periods of manic things or depressive things. Like I can still get out of bed every day. I don't, like I had some things where like I really like shopping. Well, so do a lot of other ADHD people. It's called you can't control your,
Well, you get your dopamine hits and you can't
yeah,
control your impulses.
yeah, you can't
Yeah.
control your impulses. And so I told her that, and she's like, yeah, we're just going to go with this because you really need help, and this is the fastest way to get you help. So I said, okay. And then for a while, I kept asking, like, I would get new psychiatrists because they would leave the facility that I was at. And every single time I would say, I want to get tested for ADHD. And they said, no, you don't need that because you're functioning well. Like you got a college degree, you did well in school, you're a functioning adult, all of that stuff. And they said, and you only get a diagnosis if you need medication. So you don't need medication. So I said, okay.
It's like they were making all this up.
Yeah, I know. There's like no research that I know of to support any of that.
Yeah, that was all bunk.
Yeah. And so finally, I was with my primary care provider and I had some thyroid issues going on, and my thyroid medication didn't work. And she said, your medication should work unless you have ADHD. And I
Ding,
said,
ding, 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 ding.
yeah, yeah. I said, about that, I think I do. And so she was so funny. She did the assessment. Like I filled out an assessment, my mom filled out an assessment, my husband filled out an assessment, and then she combined them all. And she called me and she said, "Girl, you have raging ADHD." And so I got on medication, and that was like the missing piece in my medication regimen. Like I was taking some mood stabilizers, and that was helping. It was helping my anxiety, it was helping my mood. But then I started taking a stimulant, and I feel like I'm finally at a typical, what typical anxiety is for a typical person, instead of the OCD tendencies, because I do have OCD, but a lot of people with ADHD also have OCD tendencies.
Yeah.
And so I don't get up in the middle of the night to check the doors anymore. Or I don't come home when I'm halfway to work so I can check to make sure the stove is off. So that anxiety has been just a typical anxiety instead of
Yeah,
over
because
anxious all
it,
the time.
it clearly was disruptive to your life.
Yes, yes, it definitely was. But all the psychiatrist cared about was the bipolar disorder. They didn't care about my OCD. They didn't care about the ADHD. They just cared about the bipolar disorder that wasn't even the right diagnosis. So that was frustrating.
Yours is an unfortunate but all too common case of how women are ignored by doctors.
Yes, yes. And it was always, well, you have anxiety. Yes, I know I have anxiety, but that's not the reason why my thyroid's not working, or I had an emergency, and like after that I had low iron and thyroid issues and something else I can't remember. But all the doctor said was, well, you've been through a traumatic event, so it's just anxiety, so you need to meditate. I am not knocking meditation, but when you have these things and you need medical intervention, meditation is not going to help you.
That was, and I've been meditating for 30 years. I'm a big
Yeah.
fan. But in that scenario, it was basically saying, fall on your head.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just need to work it out up here.
Yeah.
And doctors nowadays, and I don't know for how long now, stop digging. They stop being
Yes.
curious. They just take the first thing they can label and throw the pill at and say, that's it, we got it. Case closed,
Yeah.
bill your insurance.
Yeah. And I understand doctors do have a hard job because they like have to see so many patients and they don't have time to dig deep. And so I think it's a bigger problem than just doctors don't care.
Yeah, the system is very dysfunctional.
Yeah, yeah, they don't have the time and they don't have the resources to dig deeper with you unless you advocate for yourself. Like we went to the ER once because my son went blind for like 30 seconds. He went blind. It turns out he has migraines, but that's, pretty severe to lose your vision, and we didn't know why. And the doctor at the ER was like, "Oh, he's fine." And I said, "I'm not leaving until you at least do like a CT scan or an MRI or something to show that like he doesn't have a tumor in his brain, because that's also like you can go blind from having a tumor in your head." And so you just have to advocate for yourself. And I've learned that, but it's hard when the doctor's like, this is what it is. And you already think I hate using this word, but you think you're crazy. Like you really do. And so when the
There's a
doctor is
lot of
telling you
gaslighting
that,
in the medical community.
yeah, yeah. When the doctor is telling you that, you're like, well, I guess I just have to figure it out because there's nothing that they can do for me. It's just my anxiety, so I have to figure it out. And so, yeah, that gets really frustrating.
Parents can become some of the best researchers on the planet
Oh,
because
yeah.
I had to present a case to neurologist once that I did in fact have relapsing remitting MS. And I just went point for point for point for point. He said, oh my God, it's all there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I applaud you for being a mama bear there. It makes a huge difference.
Well, thank you.
So You talked about the questions you asked yourself about you before you were diagnosed. You know, am I weird? Am I this? Am I? How did people respond to you during that time?
My teachers told me that I was a great student, but I talked too much. And my friends, I don't know, because I had that rejection sensitivity dysphoria. And
Mhm.
so I think I perceived what they thought very different than what they thought. So looking back, my friends, I did talk to one of my friends. I was like, why didn't you ever invite me to stuff you did with other people after school? Because I rarely got invited to like go to a friend's house or something like that. And she said, you were just so busy that I didn't know like if you could even come. So I just didn't invite you because I didn't want to bother you because I had a job. I was doing piano. I was very into piano and choir, and I did sports, and I had young siblings that I wanted to hang out with. And yeah, so
How did
looking
you do
back,
all that?
I don't know. I don't know. It like I honestly have no idea, but I've been like that my whole life. I have to be doing something all the time. I've learned in recent years that it's okay to take a break and it's okay to just be. So I'm not doing quite as much as I used to do. But my husband always reminds me, he said, whenever I have like a new great idea, he's like, can you just wait? Just wait until like this happens or you get done with this project. And so he is amazing at reminding me that I stress myself out, I burn myself out, and I don't need to be doing all the things. Like I can have a family movie night and I don't need to be working, you know? So that's helped me a lot. But back then I did have a lot of signs of burnout. And I was always like, why don't my friends invite me to do things? Well, because they knew what I was doing and they knew that I didn't have time to go hang out. Where in my mind, I would have made time. And so I think that's an important thing to look at too. Like a lot of people with ADHD fill their time up because they think they're not enough. And if they do enough things, then it will prove that they're enough. And that's kind of what I was doing. And then it made it so I couldn't do what I really wanted to do, which was hang out with my friends.
We try to prove ourselves through productivity.
Yes, yeah,
You know, the feedback we get in school, the positive feedback is when we've produced something. So if we
yes,
produce more, we're going to get even more positive feedback.
yeah.
And that becomes at the expense of what you said earlier of just being,
Hmm.
just enjoying being alive and just being present with yourself and your own emotions and the people around you.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
So when I was in high school, I got physical signs of stress. Like I had all the signs of diabetes in high school. And
Right.
then like my senior year, and I gained a bunch of weight even though I was in sports and working out and doing all that, stuff, and I wasn't eating an inappropriate amount, but I just gained a bunch of weight. And the day I graduated high school, like the day I graduated, the diabetes symptoms went away. And within a few months, I'd lost like 30 pounds because I chilled out. Like I wasn't doing all this stuff anymore.
So was
And
it stress hormones that made you pack on that weight or
I think it was because I was so stressed out because in my head, I had to be valedictorian to prove that I was good enough. And it was hard. And so I stressed myself out so much trying to get A's. And I'll never forget my teacher said one of the greatest things to me that I did not believe him at the time. He said, it's okay to get to not get A's. He said, it's not the end all be all because I was struggling the most in his class. And he said, one day you will be in college and you will get a C in a class and you will be grateful for that C. And I was like, oh, how dare you?
was he the first one that said it's okay to not be perfect?
No, my parents told me that all the time. It wasn't like my parents were pushing me to be perfect, to do all these things. My dad did tell me early on in school, he said, you need to do well in school because I will not be able to pay for your college. Like, I'll help you where I can, but I'm not going to be able to just write you a check and send you to college. And he said, I want you to go to college. Therefore, you need to get scholarships so you could go to college. And I took that as, and this is not him because he did not say any of this. This is just how I interpreted it, that he wouldn't love me as much if I didn't get valedictorian because then I wouldn't get my goal of getting the scholarships that valedictorians get, you know?
You think
So
you would have failed him if you didn't get
yeah,
it.
yeah. I was not failing myself. I was failing him, and he wouldn't love me anymore if I didn't accomplish that goal, which that is not at all what he was saying. He was just saying, do your best in school because I know you want to go to college and I can't pay for it. He did pay for a lot of things, but like he wasn't paying for my tuition, you know? I keep saying you know a lot. That's so weird. But so when I was a senior in high school and I was struggling in my classes to get A's, I was like, well, if I don't get A's, he's going to be disappointed in me. And then for some reason, I thought he was going to divorce my mom because he was disappointed in me, and then my mom would be mad at me. We just tell ourselves these
Well,
stories that are not true.
and we grow up thinking that we are the problem.
Yeah.
If
So
there's a
I thought
problem,
I
we
was the
solved it. Yeah.
problem. Yeah, I thought I was the problem because, oh, I'm too emotional and no one can talk to me because they're afraid I'm going to get emotional about it because I was very reactive emotionally because my body felt like it was going to explode from like the different it was either super happy, super angry, super sad. It wasn't just, it wasn't just flatline, not flatline, but just
We
typical.
don't have any steady state.
Yes.
We're way the heck up here or way the heck down there. And
Yeah.
one thing that you have going for you, which more and more adults I'm seeing do, is that self-awareness around just how deceptive the ADHD can be
Yes.
and how it can swing us in all or nothing states, not only in our thinking, but in our emotions, so that we can have the presence of mind as much as possible to say, all right, chances are what I think happened did not happen. I
Yes.
need to get clarification so that I can understand it the way it was intended, so I don't sit here and perseverate myself down a rabbit hole of filth and depression and rejection. So developing that awareness is awesome if and when you can do it.
Yeah, and I tell people I do this presentation about getting your mental health network together so you don't have crises. And part of that is having someone who you can go to and say, "Hey, this happened. I My brain is lying to me about what happened. Can you give me a more like rational response or help me work through it so that I don't think the worst of the worst or I don't perseverate on it?" And I would recommend having that be like a counselor or a therapist or someone that you can really work through that with, but even a friend who can just tell you when your brain is lying to you. So if you think that you need to, like we are talking about before, like your productivity is your worth, your friend can say, "Hey, you've accomplished all these things. You're good. Like you don't have to prove to anyone that you're worth it or enough," or just recognizing your own accomplishments because a lot of people with ADHD don't even recognize their own accomplishment. It's more of a like sigh of relief that it's finally over rather than celebrating that you did it. So I think
Yeah.
that's super important.
Now, let's talk about every brain is different.
Mhm.
What is that? What's that mean essentially?
Yeah, just exactly what it says, that everyone has a different brain, whether you're diagnosed with something, whether you're not diagnosed with something, and it's nothing to be ashamed about. Like your brain chemistry is different than other people, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's no willpower that you're going to willpower your way through changing your brain chemistry, and it should be celebrated. There are a lot of things that people with ADHD struggle with and people with autism. We mostly talk about, like on the podcast and stuff, and in the business, we talk about kids with ADHD and autism. But even if you have OCD or bipolar disorder or anything like that, it's nothing to be ashamed about. There are good things and hard things that come with those diagnoses. And so just you being you should be celebrated. And that's our main mission in Every Brain is Different.
So you mentioned there's the podcast.
Yeah.
What other resources do you have?
We have a parenting community where parents can come. If you're raising a neurodivergent kid, then you can come and join the community and just we give strategies. We have, people that you can talk to, different things like that. And then we do have like a parenting class within the community. So we focus on parenting strategies, your own self-care so you can co-regulate with your kid. And then just what does it mean to be neurodivergent? Because so many parents might not realize that they're neurodivergent and their kid, or they might not be, and they're raising a kid who is, and they don't understand the differences that make someone neurodivergent. So when your kid isn't listening to you because they have ADHD and they just keep getting distracted by all the things, that's not them having a behavior problem. That's them having an attention problem. And so if we can work through it differently, like they don't need punishment. You're not going to punish a kid into paying attention more. Like it's his brain getting distracted by his world. And so we teach a lot of things what to do instead of punishment.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Facilitation, be their
Yeah.
guide.
Yeah.
If someone is traveling along that journey of struggling, they're doing everything the hard way, what would you say? I want to say this differently. What do you recommend to somebody who really could use a diagnosis but is reluctant? They're fighting the fact that they might have something.
Yes. I would say go to counseling if that would help you work through it. That's where I started. I did not start with a diagnosis. I was in counseling and I said something about OCD, and my counselor said that might help you to get an assessment. It might, these are the reasons why it might help you. These are the reasons why you might not want to get it. Let's talk through that. And so that might really help someone. Also, just starting with your primary care doctor, just saying, I'm feeling these things. I feel like I might have a diagnosis. I don't know. And they can help you through that process. Like I know for ADHD, your primary care doctor can give you you know, an evaluation to fill out. If you want the full evaluation, then obviously you have to go to a psychiatrist or different person than just your primary care.
Mm.
But you can start with your primary care provider and a counselor, and I think that helps people work through a lot of things rather than just getting a full psych evaluation to start off with if they're kind of leery of getting that because they don't want to be labeled or but the good thing about getting a diagnosis is you don't have to tell anyone if you don't want to. I
Yeah.
mean, it is on your medical record, so your doctors will know, but you don't have to tell anyone else. If you don't want to tell people at work, cool, don't tell them. If you don't want to tell your family, don't tell them. But it can be very validating for you. At least it was for me because it explained why I was the way I was and not just I was messed up or I was wrong or whatever. So Yeah. And then if you want to tell people, like at work, you can get accommodations instead of having to struggle through work if you need accommodations. So a lot of good things can come out of a diagnosis, but I can understand people not wanting the label because people have preconceived notions about what that means.
A lot of moving pieces,
Yes. Yeah.
but the bottom line is once you know what it is, you can give yourself more grace,
Mm-hmm.
more self-compassion. You find more tools to accomplish the things that you want, including starting a podcast, creating a community for other parents to help them, and being able to execute more on what it is you want to do instead of being eternally stuck.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, awesome work you're doing there, Samantha. I really appreciate you coming on and talking with me.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And I'll make sure that the viewers and listeners have all the different ways to contact you, okay?
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you next time.